Hey Cindy, the stream has been pushed live,
Okay.
and I have made you host right now. You have to make me co-host back again, and then we are good to go.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I will be moderating the chat as well.
I can't hear anything.
Now then, now but you can.
Oh, now I can. Thank you. Thank you.
I thought I had unmuted myself, but I was still on mute.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
We will give everybody a couple of minutes to get on board here, and then we'll get started with our class.
How you doing anyway? Hi.
I'm good. Joyce, how about you?
I'm good.
Good, good, good. I see Wynn's on board with us. Hi, Wynn.
I do.
Where y'all get those virtual backgrounds? That's so pretty.
We actually have a class on that.
When?
On how to do that. I'm not sure when the next one is set up, but you can go into the classes to search classes and look for Zoom virtual backgrounds.
And that's how I did mine. That's how I did mine.
Right.
This is one of my favorite pictures I took of the Grand Canyon.
It's really not hard at all, but that class will help you and teach you a lot of other cool things too that you can do.
Okay,
thank you.
You bet.
I have sent a link in the chat. This is Michael, your TA. Y'all can book that class Zoom virtual background from that link.
Perfect. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
So in the chat, there's the link where you can just join right from there. We'll go ahead and get started. We have lots to talk about, and I'm sure you might have lots of questions too. Michael is on board. He's our TA, and he's going to help me monitor the chat. I get busy teaching the class a lot of times and don't necessarily look at the chat. I will say though, as we're going along in this class, if you have a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to ask at the time that the question pops into your head. I think sometimes it's best if you ask the question when it's right there fresh in your mind and we're actually on the topic. That way we won't forget it and I won't forget that it needs to be explained to you. So feel free anytime, any input that you have, just jump right on in and let us know what it is. This class is on phishing emails, and we're going to talk about email scams, how to avoid them, how to stay safe. I'm Cindy. I'm your host for the class today. And the class will be taught via PowerPoint slide. Got a lot of things to go through on there. And then I have several really good links I'm going to send you in the email after class. And we're going to take a look at those email links also. Talk about a lot of good examples of scams. We're even going to talk about tech scams, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Any questions before we get started about anything? Everybody's good to go? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And hopefully everyone can see my email right here. Let me stop 1 second. I am going to need to share my sound when I share that screen at some point. So let me go back and check that off. Okay, so here's our class on email scams and how to recognize them, what to do, how to stay safe. I want to talk just a minute about Get Set Up before we get started. Get Set Up, as you know, helps you learn useful skills from people just like you. We're all pretty much the same age. We're all in the same boat nowadays, for sure, because we're all locked down or can't really get out, or maybe don't want to get out with the pandemic going on and everything. And we do learn from each other, and it's good to see your cameras on. Those of you that want to keep your cameras on, I appreciate that. It's hard to teach a class when you're not really seeing any people anywhere. But if you don't want to share your screen, that's not a problem whatsoever. If you just want to, don't want to share your image, that's fine. If by chance you're joining by live stream, the best way to use our classes is to actually go online and book the class through getsetup.io. That way you'll be assured to get the email afterwards and things like that, other information that is important to you. Get Set Up, we talk about a lot of different products. We're not paid to promote any products or anything like that. We use these products in the teaching of our classes to you guys. The Get Set Up community is all about you, so help us spread the word about it. Tell your any people in your organizations, other classes that you may know about. And if you would like to request a link to the recording of this class, you can do so by emailing help@getsetup.io. Just tell them the name of the class you want the copy of the class for and the date that you took it on, and they will send you a link to the class. You may want to go back through and take a look at the class again and reabsorb some of the knowledge that you got from the class and look at the slides again, something like that. This is a sample of the class notes that you'll be receiving afterwards. It'll have some class note key takeaways for you. It will also have some suggestions on some other classes that you may be interested in viewing. And it will also have a feedback form on here where you can rate your session, you can rate your guide, and you can also tell us how to improve down here, or tell us some other classes that you'd like to see us develop for your learning opportunities. If you notice, the stars default to 4 stars. I don't know why, but you can rate us anything from a 1 all the way to a 5. Just click on whichever star it is that you would like to rate us. Also, when you book online, this is another advantage to booking online. You have the opportunity to actually invite a friend to the class. When you're online on the Get Set Up website, you will see something like this pop up after you book your class, and you can click right here. It will open your email client, and you can email a friend about the class and tell them they may want to join too. If you book your class on a mobile device, you'll see something like this on the right-hand side of the screen. You can click on Facebook and share the class via Facebook, WhatsApp, or again, you can open your email client and share it with a friend that might want to join. Any questions? Everybody's good with Get Set Up? Don't have any issues, hopefully? Okay. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the definition of phishing and damages that can occur when you actually engage with these phishing emails. We're going to learn the telltale signs of a phishing email. We're going to talk briefly about ransomware and what it can do to your files. And then we're also going to take a look at some phishing text messages and just talk a little bit about how to stay safe on public wireless networks that you may join while you're out and about at McDonald's or Starbucks or something like that. Okay, I need to do just a quick prior knowledge check. I'm going to stop the share for a minute. How many people know what a phishing email is? If you know, just kind of physically raise your hand. Okay. So some people do, some people don't. Okay, gives me a good idea there. And does anybody know what ransomware is? Ransomware, anybody heard of that? Okay, we're going to talk briefly on ransomware too. So let me go back to our knowledge check here. and talk just briefly about what a phishing email is. A phishing email is an email that's sent to you from someone that you didn't solicit the email from. It's a criminal on the other end. And it's an attempt to get you to click on a link or to open an attachment associated with that email. And by doing so, this gives the criminal a gateway to get into your computer and access your personal data. That's basically what a phishing email is. Just like the name of it, they're phishing for information. They're trying to get your social security number, driver's license number, password, login information, all of your personal information that you don't want to be giving away. Here's what happens when you actually engage with a phishing email. If you click on that link or you open that attachment, these are some of the things that can happen. Your login information can be compromised, meaning they can steal your login information. They can corrupt your data files on your computer to where your computer doesn't work anymore. This also, when they can get into your system, provides a backdoor for hackers to get into your network and do whatever they want, whether it's look for information, corrupt your files, or things like that. And they also can plant this ransomware that we're going to talk about on your computer. If the ransomware is on your computer, if someone puts that on there, your files are actually all locked down and you can't use your computer. So that's what happens if you engage with a phishing email. Here's an example of a phishing email right here. If you look at the right-hand side of the screen, this is an email that a friend of mine got, and I wanted to use it for an example. On the left-hand side, these are things to look for in a phishing email. First of all, it's going to come to you unsolicited. It's going to be from somebody you haven't engaged with, or you didn't email to, or you didn't ask for this email. It's going to have some kind of high pressure sales tactic in it, like this is your last chance, or you only have 2 hours to do something. You're going to also see misspellings possibly in the subject line. You may see strange reference numbers, and there will also be a reference to your account being closed or locked or suspicious activity, something like that. So knowing these red flags here, I'll call them. Let's look at this email over here. This says, this is the subject. This is the last chance to log in and regain access to your Amazon.com, I'm assuming, account. It's got a reference number here that looks kind of strange. On the bottom here, it talks about your Amazon ID is automatically locked. And it looks real. It's got the Amazon logo on here, but anybody can cut and copy and paste a logo of a company here. And it says, dear customer, for your protection, your Amazon ID is locked. Now, there's always going to be a link down here for you to click on. It will say something further like, for your protection, in order to unlock your account, please click here and update your information or whatever. And if you click on that link, that's that link that they're trying to get you to click on. And if you fall for it, it's going to take you to a site where it may ask you all of your personal information. It may say that we're not sure that we have your correct debit card, or your credit card has expired or something like that. And it will ask you to re-enter your credit card information. You don't want to do that. You don't want to ever click on the link. If you get an email from a company that says your account is locked or something like that, what you want to do is you want to call that company and say, I got an email saying my account is locked. Can you please tell me if there's a problem with my account? Now, that being said, the way to contact that company, you're obviously not going to know the support number right off the bat. So you're probably going to want to Google it or something like that. Here's the kicker. Don't go to Google and look for the customer support number, because criminals are always one step ahead of us, and criminals have actually paid for search engines to pull up these support numbers that are actually fake numbers. So if you Google Amazon support number and the first one that comes up and it's an ad, odds are it's been paid for, and it's just a phone number to a criminal bank where they can try and continue to steal your information. So you want to go to Amazon.com, go to the actual website that the email comes from. Whether it's Netflix, go to Netflix.com. If it's Overstock, go to Overstock.com. And on that page, there you will find the customer support number that you need to call. So don't just Google the number, go to the actual website, find the customer support number there and call that number. Okay, that was a lot of info on one slide. Do we have any questions anywhere from anybody? Anybody seen any emails like this before? Yeah, most everybody has. Hopefully you haven't clicked on any links or anything and got caught up in it.
Hi, excuse me. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If you accidentally click the link, will that automatically open up anything?
Sometimes it depends on the phishing email and what the link actually takes you to. Something like this is simply going to take you to a website where they're going to ask you to input your personal information.
Well, yeah. Then you can just put that,
Just
put
delete
that
it.
on this, and
Just-
delete it on this, put on the spam folder.
Right, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what you should
Oh,
do,
okay.
right?
I just want to make sure, because
Yeah.
sometimes, you touch something and it opens something.
Right. And sometimes our email is set up where we see a little bit of the email and then we see like a line of what it's about. If you just open up that email to where you can read it, the whole screen, that doesn't necessarily cause problems. It's when you click on that link that's in there or that
Yeah.
attachment that's with it. Sometimes you may get a picture of something and they may say, this is a picture of you and your family I found, blah, 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 whatever. But when
Yeah.
you click on that picture, it's going to release malware onto your computer because a
Oh.
lot of times in pictures on the internet, there can actually be malware implanted in those pictures. Now, I'm not an IT person and can't really explain how that happens, but I know that it does.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Okay, so knowing what we know so far, here's another example of a phishing email. Let's look at it. And this is supposedly an invoice from Norton Antivirus Company. So look at it and tell me if you saw this right off the bat, would you think this was a phishing email or would you think it's really an invoice that you probably need to pay? Anybody? It's a phishing email. What are some of the signs that you see?
A
There's some
from
very-
address.
The address that it's from? What's wrong with it?
It's not a company.
Right. It's from Gmail, somebody with a Gmail address. If you get an invoice or something from a company, it's going to have that company's name.com. This should say Norton.com. But this is somebody that just has a random email address at Gmail. So that's your first clue that you can tell right there. Now, oftentimes on emails, you can, you may just see Sophia and not the actual email address. But if you click on the word or the name, it will actually pop up this email. So that's one of the simplest ways you can tell if the email is really from who it looks like it's supposed to be from. What else do you see that looks fishy? Anything?
The mistakes, the extra characters in the subject line.
Yeah, exactly. Look just briefly through here. Look how many times you see a hashtag in here. My goodness, they're all over the page. So that would tell me that it looks like somebody probably copied and pasted something, and there's some character that was in the original mail that translated into a hashtag sign every time that character was typed. So that's another one of your red flags. How about the subject right here besides the hashtags in it? What about these right here? That's
Yeah,
your
what business does that?
that's exactly. That's your high pressure sales tactic. Like, oh my gosh, it must be a very important email. I need to respond. If you go on through and you look at everything in here, it gives you a weird invoice number down here, and it does it up here too. And it says your Norton 360, you're going to be charged $329 with this much tax. Here's your total amount. And if you want to cancel it, please reach out to us and call this number right here. So if you looked at it and you said, well, this isn't mine, I don't even have Norton, I'd better call this number. Or even if you do have Norton and you say, well, this can't be right, I know it's not that much. And if you call this number, you're going to be talking to a criminal that's going to be playing like they're a Norton employee, and they're going to try to get your private information from you. Okay, any questions on that email? Good job with recognizing some of the signs there. Very good. Okay, I want to talk just a minute about spear phishing. Spear phishing takes it one step further. What spear phishing is it's very targeted emails, meaning that they use familiarity to get you to click on a link or something. Here's an example of a phishing email. Let's say I have a grandson named Tommy, and I'm real close with my grandson, always helping him, doing anything for him. And I've met several of his friends. Sometimes they come by the house because I happen to have a pool, and they come over and swim because I sure don't use it a lot. And so maybe you get an email from someone that says, "Dear Cindy, I'm a friend of your grandson Tommy's, and I'm in Italy. I've been over here for a week. However, last night I was robbed and I lost all of my credit cards, my money, my passport, and I'm trying to get back to the United States. I called Tommy, and Tommy said that you might possibly be able to help me by wiring me some money." So when you read through that, well, yeah, I got a Tommy for a grandson, and I'd do anything. This must be one of his friends. In fact, a group of them were just over last week at the pool. So I'd be happy to help him. So you wire the money, or you follow through with whatever it says in it. That's a spear phishing email. It's targeting you because it's with familiarity. It's making you think that it truly is a friend of your grandson's, and it's trying to trick you in to send him money. So that's a typical example of a spear phishing email. Has anybody ever gotten anything like that?
My sister has.
Did she act on it, or did she know what it was?
Sh-
I lost you.
Actually, it went out to a bunch of people she had email addresses for that said, she needed something about her credit card and she needed money, but
Right.
most of them knew, and they gave her a call.
So they gave her a heads up that that's what was out there?
Yeah, so she had to delete her email and get a new email address.
Right. And one thing you can do without having to totally delete your email is just change your password. Because if you change your password, they can't get into your email account or anything like that. Because it's kind of difficult if you have to change your email address. There's so many people that have our email addresses now that when you have to change it, there's so many people you have to think about trying to notify. One of the first things to do if your email address is ever compromised, just change your password. But if you want to get a new email address, that's fine too.
I think she couldn't change it. I think that's what happened. She had to get a new one.
Had
for
to get a
some
new
reason.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's a little bit about spear phishing. Does anybody know this lady on the screen here? We've all seen her on Friday nights, or at least around here, it's Friday nights. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shark Tank. Right. She's one of the philanthropists on Shark Tank that helps new inventors get going. She lost $388,000 from an email scam. So don't think that it just happens to people like me and you. It happens to everybody. Criminals are just very, very smart in what they do and the way they go about trying to trick us. In this instance, with her being a philanthropist, she does a lot of work overseas and a lot of real estate renovations, things like that. And this was a fake invoice that was sent to one of her assistants from a company in Germany that's legitimate, and she actually does business with them. And they sent her an invoice for this amount of money. That's tons of money. And it didn't raise any false alarms to anybody because they all know that, yes, they're doing some work and have contracts with this company over in Germany right now. So the assistant forwarded the email to Barbara, and it had all the information in it about here's the invoice, here's what it's for, here's the email address to wire it to. And the email address was not exactly the real email address of the company. It was one letter off. And so Barbara thought, well, no problem. Let's go ahead and pay it. She didn't pay attention. She was they were using familiarity to try and get her money from her. And she told her assistant, go ahead and pay it, send it off to finance. And she did. The assistant sent it off to finance, and finance went ahead and wired the money to everybody and paid the invoice and CC'd the assistant and Barbara on the email when he sent the information to the company for payment. That's when the assistant noticed that the email address was one letter off from what it really should have been. And they had wired that money to some criminal somewhere that was out there spoofing this company that works with Barbara. So that's a prime example of a spear phishing email right there. She did get her money back though, I understand. Very lucky. Okay, let's talk briefly on ransomware, what ransomware is. Ransomware is when you click on a link or attachment and somebody is on the other end who is actually getting into your computer and encrypting all of your files on your computer to where you can't use them. You can't use your computer or anything. If they basically lock down your computer and they tell you, you've lost your data, you're not going to get it back until you pay me a ransom, basically. That's why it's called ransomware. So if you're surfing along and this should happen to you, you may see something like this pop up on your computer. This is just an example of a typical message that you may get. It tells you what happened to your computer, that all your files are encrypted. It tells you how you can recover your files. And yes, you could recover them. They have a de-encryption key they'll send you if you pay them X amount of money. They also will usually tell you how to pay, whether they want you to wire money or they want you to use something like Bitcoin, which is a digital type of currency. They'll give you very specific instructions on how to pay to get your files back. They'll have some kind of a time limit over here. If you don't pay by a certain time, they're going to raise it from, let's say, $500 to $1,000. And if you don't pay by another final time, which would be over here, like on this one, you're never going to get your files back. So this is a typical pop-up that you would see associated with ransomware. Now, if you ever should see this, what you should do is immediately shut your computer down. Just shut it down. Just turn it off, unplug it from the wall, and plug all the power, take the battery out, whatever you need to do. When ransomware is put onto a computer, a criminal is able to get in, it takes a while to start taking over your files. So if you shut down your computer, it could be that you're able to save it because the software that's malware that the criminal is putting on your computer hasn't gotten to all of your major files yet to where your computer won't restart. So if you should see something like this, shut your computer down, totally turn it off, wait a little bit, and then see if you can reboot it. If you can reboot it, then you're going to be fine because that ransomware wasn't able to get to the important brain files of your computer. Now, if you turn it back on, it doesn't do anything or whatever, doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a new computer. You can simply take it to your local Best Buy or Geek Squad or whatever they call it in your area. Those people at those kind of technical shops have software that they can put on your computer to delete and erase all of that ransomware that was put on there. Now, any questions so far on ransomware? Okay. Ransomware, criminals with ransomware don't so much pick on little individuals like me and you that, you know, to us, $500 is a ton of money. It's almost better nowadays. You could go buy another computer. If you did pay a ransom, there's no guarantee that criminal's going to unencrypt your files anyway. So you're really just kind of, it's a lose-lose situation for you. So what criminals normally do is they will target large companies or systems like hospital systems or maybe city systems. If you live in a large city, let's say Philadelphia, and someone were to hack into and put ransomware on the Philadelphia city network, they wouldn't be able to run their 911 system. They wouldn't be able to do, I mean, any business, the city would basically be shut down. So what the criminals are hoping is that they may say, you know, the ransom is $1 million, and that's unthinkable to me and you. But to a city system with the amount of monies that they deal with, $1 million might not be so much to them to be able to get everything back up and operating again. And that's what the criminals are banking on. They're hoping that the companies that they hit with ransomware will think that it's just easier. Let me just go ahead and pay the ransom and get everything back up and running. And sometimes the criminals make a lot of money off of this. Sometimes the ransoms are as high as $5 million, depending upon the company. So that's a little bit about ransomware. Any questions about ransomware? Let's check how we're doing on our time here. Okay, right on time. Everybody's good, no questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask anytime you have a question, or even just a comment about somebody that you know that got hit with something. Okay, let's talk a little bit about tech scams. We've got several tech scams on here. This is one that I actually got. Have any of y'all gotten tech scams on your phone or even your iPad or whatever? This is one that says, we found a parcel, and Cynthia, they're calling me Cynthia. Nobody calls me Cynthia but my mom. And it says, we found a parcel from March pending for you. Kindly assume ownership and schedule delivery here. So they want me to try and click on this link. And all that's going to do is take me to a site where they're going to try to ask me for my personal information. They're just going to try to separate me from my personal information. That's what a tech scam is. When you get these, just go ahead and delete them. Don't reply to them. Don't do anything. Just delete them and leave them alone. So that's a tech scam. Okay, here's another example of a tech scam. Actually, this is one that came through Facebook Messenger, and it actually came from a friend of mine. And this is a very big scam going around. If you ever get an email or a text message or anything that's got a link to a YouTube video and it says, this is you in this video, do not click on it. This is one of the probably most predominant text scams that's out there, or email scams that's out there, because if you get a video and it says, hey, you're in this video, basically everybody's going to want to click on it to see what it's about. But when you do, what happens is if you click this link, it inserts malware on your computer, and it could be all kinds of malware is simply bad software. And it could be anything from key logging data to just ransomware to anything. So if you ever see anything like this, it's got a YouTube video saying that you're in it, don't click on that link. Just delete it, leave it alone, put it to your junk folder, whatever you want to do. Questions on that one? Has anybody seen that one before? No? Okay. Here's another one that a friend of mine got just recently. This is very legitimate. This is probably one of the best ones that I've seen because it has the format for Chase Bank. I've gotten many legitimate texts and emails from Chase, and they look just like this with the logo, the way they're set up. Everything is pretty much just exactly as Chase would send something. It says, please confirm suspicious activity on your Chase account. And it's got a place right here where you can log into Chase and take care of whatever the activity is. You know, a lot of times we have alerts set up on our credit cards that say if there's a charge made over a certain amount, or if a charge is made and the credit card is actually not physically present, you can set up an alert where you'll get a text message and then you can respond, yes, that's actually a text message. I mean, that's actually a purchase I'm making right now. So you can go ahead and let the charge go through. So this is kind of what that's set up like. I have one credit card that I've basically kind of locked down to where anytime that I go to use it, it's going to deny any activity that's done on it because what happens, if I use it at a checkout, I'll say, I'm going to use this credit card, but I tell the person checking out, however, it's going to be denied. It's because I have a safety system set up on this card. So if you wait just 1 minute, I'll get a text, I can approve it, and then you can run the card back through again, and the credit will go, the sale will go through perfectly fine. So those are different alerts that you can put on phones. And so this makes it look like, yeah, you might have that alert set up and maybe there's some kind of, somebody got a hold of my card. That's the first thing you think is, oh my gosh, somebody got a hold of my card. And they want you to log into Chase right here. And if you were to click right here, all it would do is take you to a criminal website and they would try to get your information. You would think that you're logging into Chase Bank, but you wouldn't be, and they would immediately have your access to your account. So, of course, if you get something like this and it's from a bank that you don't have an account with, then by all means, you know that this is a phishing email or phishing text or whatever, because I don't even have an account with this bank. All you need to do is just delete it. But if you did have an account with it and you're still not sure because it looks very real, here's some of the things you could see. If you look at it, one of the big signs is right here, right under the login to class. This sentence doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'll say it's not grammatically correct. It says, we encourage you to sign in to read your Chase because it contains specific information about your account. Well, they probably should have said, sign in to read your Chase messages or something like that. This sentence just doesn't really make sense. So that's another red flag. This is just a criminal activity being sent to you. Now, if you want to go one step further, and probably the easiest thing to do, right up here where it says who this is to, normally if this was to me, it would have my name on it and my email address. Well, this one doesn't. It's got Chase's, but most criminals think people don't pay enough attention or don't understand. And so they think, okay, this is who it's from. So that's no big deal. But if you see these little arrows right here, you can click on these arrows or tap on them if it's on your phone, and it will give you more information, and it will specifically usually give you the email address that this is coming from. And, you know, as we talked about earlier, the email address that it's coming from should be from chase.com, right? So on this particular image, when you click on this little arrow, this is what comes up. Here's the information that comes up about the sender. And look at the email address that it's from, chase@chaseblissaudio.com. That is not Chase Bank. Okay? So immediately you know that's a scam. I can just go ahead and get rid of it and not have to worry about it. Any questions on that? If you get things on your phone or your iPad and you want to know what the email address, the real email address that it actually comes from, just tap or click on the little arrow right next to the sender's email address, and it will actually show you the real email address. Okay? Questions or comments?
I've had the experience recently where I get a text from somebody named last name of Solomon, and the text says, "This is real, forward it to all of your contacts." So I right away thought, I've got to let my contacts know. And I right away heard from my sister and one of my nieces that I'd been hacked. But I also looked that particular hack up on Google, and it turns out that it's a hoax. But every once in a while, I will get this particular text. It's a long text, and it asks you to forward it to all of your friends, which is what I did. And I probably made all my friends think that they got hacked. But like I said,
Right.
It's somebody that's just fooling around.
Mm-hmm.
People are so tech savvy, they want to mess with people.
Exactly. Right.
So if you get something from some weird name and the last name is Solomon, ignore it. Don't forward it.
Right.
Because
Well, I get
it's
a
a
lot of
hoax,
unwanted
but
text
at the same time, you could still be getting hacked.
Right. And a lot of times too, all you're doing is actually sending that malware, or that you're causing your friend's computer to be infected with malware too. So something that tells you to forward to your friends, don't ever do that. Now, I have seen on Facebook sometimes where people would post something that says, if you get a friend request from me, don't answer because I've been hacked. And sometimes that happens too, but don't ever forward something if the email says to forward it, you know. I heard someone else with a question or comment. Not sure who it was.
That would be me, Joyce.
Oh, go ahead, Joyce.
No, this is not email, but I do get a lot of unwanted text on my phone. A lot of commercials and unwanted. I think it's somebody texting me, and they texting me constantly.
Right. One of our local news stations had some information on last night on, they did a little spot on how to get rid of all the annoying spam messages and phone calls that you get all the time. They're trying to do get the government involved in it to stop this and cut down on it, because it's constant. I know today was a day where I was constantly, I bet I had 5 phone calls today that were just all spam or trying to tell me that there was something wrong with an account of mine or something like that. And you just have to ignore them. It's terribly frustrating.
Yeah, it's a nuisance.
Yes, it is. It's a nuisance, you know, and you're the one paying the bill for that cell phone. And, you know, it's like, I would appreciate it if people would just stop calling me, you know.
Exactly.
I want to let the group know that I have gotten probably 5 calls from Amazon telling me that someone has charged a $700 computer on my account, and I have to go and get a gift card to get my my account. And I realized it was a scam. I went to the bank. I had them check all the way back to last year to see if there'd been
Great.
any fraud. I checked my Amazon account. There was nothing on it.
Right.
And
If anybody ever asks you to pay something by gift card, no legitimate company, person, anybody will ask you to make a payment on something via gift card. That's the biggest, hottest thing right now.
Yeah, because they cannot trace a gift card, so don't go for that scam.
That's
That-
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've
that money's
also
gone.
gotten calls from, 2 calls from Social Security this week. And last
too.
week I got one from the IRS.
Right. And Social Security's not going to call you, and unless you call in and tell them
And
to
the
call you,
IRS
and
neither.
right, and the IRS either. They're not going to call you. They know where you live if they really need you. So,
What
but
I
yes,
did do is as I was instructed by everybody that wrote me back that I had sent them a hack, I was advised to change my password, which I did.
good, excellent.
And
Right.
I also get random messages on my text, and I just delete them. If they're
Right.
not familiar, I just delete them.
Right, that's the best thing to do. Absolutely, best thing to do.
Thank you for letting me share.
Yes, thank you. Joyce, you saying something else?
No, I say I do the same thing. I delete,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of times they say your phone is full. What you call it? When you get so many garbage on your phone, they say something about storage. Yeah, storage.
Oh yeah, You have to get right. Mhm.
It's just
Right. And then your voicemail gets full and you can't get your real voice messages.
exactly.
Right. But if you don't initiate the email or the text message or things like that, just ignore it. If it's nothing, if it didn't come from you or you didn't initiate the conversation, just ignore it. That's the best thing to do.
That's true.
Okay. So actually, I'm going to play you. This is a typical voicemail scam. This is something just for you to listen in case you've never heard of one. I'm sure you have heard one, but here's a typical one that I'm going to play for you.
My name is Officer Stephen White, calling you from the Department of Social Security Administration. The reason you have received this phone call from our department is to inform you about a legal enforcement action which has been filed on your name and social number for criminal activities. So before we proceed with any legal proceedings, and if you want more information about it, please press 1.
So that's a typical scam that actually, if you answer a phone and somebody's calling you, when you press 1, all that does is take you to some phone number where there's a bank of criminals, phone bank, criminals sitting around everywhere. They're going to try to separate you from your private information. And if it's a Social Security number or whoever they say, they're going to try and get that information from you. Y'all have gotten things like that before? Yeah, you just have to, generally speaking, I don't even answer the phone if it's a number that's not in my contacts because they'll call back and leave a legitimate message. If it's really someone that needs to get in touch with me, they'll do that. Go ahead, Joyce. Muted.
Somebody mute me. But anyway, I have this, it's like, I don't know what it is, but it's built in my phone. And somebody called me and the number is not familiar, I can press the thing that says scam, and then they'll say, state your name, what's your name, the reason why you're calling, you're being recorded. It tells them that before they can, and they hang up immediately.
Right. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if that may be an app. There are a lot of apps that you can put on your phone. RoboKiller is one, and things like that will stop it. But yeah, that sounds like a really good one. I've not seen that one, but that's perfect because it auto answers with that.
Yes, it came with my phone. So I said,
that's great. Well, do you have an Android or like an iPhone?
Android.
Yeah. See, that's great. That's great to have something like that on there. That's great.
I was glad I had it. So it helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting close to the last 15 minutes of the class, and I have several more things I want to share with you. Let me see if I can get us back to where we were, and I also have some links I wanted to talk with you. This is just briefly some things to help you keep safe out there. Don't use public computers or public wireless systems to do your online shopping or banking or do anything important where you have to put in your important passwords. These wireless networks that are public are not secure. Even if you go to a hotel and maybe they have a guest password that you use, they're still not secure. You go to Starbucks, you're on their public wireless. It's fine to go in and surf, check your email, whatever, but don't sit there and check your bank account, because there's software that criminals use called key logging software. And a criminal could pull up in a parking lot and sit there with their computer and on a public wireless system. They're not secure. They know how to get into these systems, and they could sit there and use this software, get into your computer using this key logging software. And what this software does is it copies everything you type on your phone or your computer or whatever. And then the software goes back and looks at all of these characters and looks for strings of characters that are in the format of like a social security number, or a credit card number or something like that. So that's just a little bit, criminals have a very easy time getting into public wireless systems. They're okay to use, just don't put in any really personal information as far as your passwords to your bank accounts, credit card accounts, things like that. Make sure you always use strong passwords with 7 or more characters, and they should also include numbers and special characters. Keep an eye out. We talked about fake texts and emails. Also, there's a lot that go around that say they're from DHL or FedEx and they have a package for you. And please click this link so that we can verify your address or something like that. Those are all scam messages too.
I get that too.
Mm-hmm.
On my phone.
Yeah, and especially around Christmas and the holidays, that they're out there everywhere. Yeah, and a lot of people fall for them. Make sure you continuously check your bank account, your credit card statements, and make sure there's not suspicious activity on there. Go in and set up your alerts so that you get alerted when there's some kind of activity that's either over a certain amount or without the actual physical credit card present or anything like that. If you do shopping online and you're checking out and the company says, do you want to save this credit card for your next order so it'll be easy for you to place your order? Don't do that. There's no reason for them to have your credit card on file with their business. If you order for them again, you can just go in and put in your credit card number again. Okay, so here are some helpful links. I'm going to stop this share, and very quickly I'm going to go out and show you these links that I'm going to actually send to you in the follow-up email. These are some links from the Federal Trade Commission that you can go to, and they're very helpful and got a lot of good information on it. Here's the first one. This is basically everything we talked about in the class, how to avoid and recognize phishing scams. And it actually goes through, each of these are clickable links. It talks about everything we talked about. And right in here, it actually shows another phishing email. Let's look at this one and see what we think. From what we've learned now in this class, this is from Netflix, supposedly. Looks like Netflix. We all have Netflix accounts now. And it says your account's on hold. Okay, so I need to figure out why and take care of it, because I'm watching The Handmaid's Tale and I need to finish watching the series. And if I can't get in, so here's what it says. It says, hi, dear. Well, I'm pretty sure Netflix knows my name, so it ought to say, hey, Cindy, or something like that. And it says, we're having trouble with your current billing information. We'll try again, but in the meantime, you might want to update your payment details. So update account now. If you click here, it's just going to take you to a criminal website that's going to try to get your credit card information. So this is another typical scam. So this site from the FTC goes back through all the good information that we just got through talking about in this class. This next site I'll send you, this is also from the FTC. This is kind of a fun thing. It's a little phishing quiz. You can go through here and take this little quiz on your own. It's got some questions and choices for answers. You can click on the answer that you think is correct, and it'll give you the correct answer, let you know if you answered it correctly or not. So I'm going to send you that link also. This is also from the FTC. It's got a lot of good advice on it about all of the coronavirus scams that are out there. There are a ton of scams going around, especially with the monies that are being paid to people with the COVID vaccines, people that are trying to get them. Don't ever pay to get a COVID vaccine. They're always free. So this is a great informational site, and they update it constantly about all the things that are going on with coronavirus. I will say that if there's a topic that's hot topic in the news, that's where the criminals go. They jump on that topic and they come up with all kinds of things to make people think that emails and scan texts are legitimate when they're really not. This is a very good site to report fraud. All you have to do is click on the link that says report now, and it takes you to another page where it asks you a few questions. What is it that you're reporting? And you can tell it the category you're reporting. And I'm just going to pick something here. I'll say credit or debit, and it may or may not ask you a little bit more. Let's say I want to report a company that's trying to charge fees for me to get a loan or to get a credit card. And then if I click continue, it goes into another page that asks a little bit more specific details. You can go through here and answer all of these. And at the very bottom down here, it's actually a box where you can type in an email to them. You can fill out all that information and click continue, and it'll actually go ahead and record that email, send it to the FTC, and they can use it for their investigations. Don't think that reporting things won't ever help, because you never know. Your report may be the one that actually helps the FTC lock down a criminal group that's doing this kind of activity. They're constantly getting to the bottom of things. And over the last year, I think it's something like $4 billion they've saved people, helped them get their money back. So don't be afraid to go in and report anything to the FTC. Okay. Here's another little fun site I'm going to send you. And what this is a site that will tell you if your email has been compromised. Now, the site's called Have I Been Pawned? Now, pawned, that's not really a word, but I'll tell you a little bit of history about where that came from. Gamers that play online a lot of times, you know, they're online playing games and they're talking and listening and everything. And when they beat someone at a game, the term they use is, I own you. You know, you've been owned, meaning I beat you. So they'll type that into their little messages. They'll say, you've been owned. Well, the O and the P are right next to one another on the computer. And so what happens is they actually a lot of times hit the P instead of the O, and it ends up saying you've been pawned. So several years back, this phrase became kind of popular. And so using this phrase, a gentleman came up with this site where you can type in your email address right here and click the word pawned right here, and it'll tell you if you've been pawned. Now, here's what you do with it. Go ahead. Everybody has, or most people have more than one email. I have one email that I use when I know it's for if I order things or whatever, because it's an email. It's like a junk email for me. I never really use it for anything except when I order, because I don't want to start getting a lot of other messages with it. So I'm going to put in that email. Move this over a second. And this is the email that I use. It's not my main email. I don't use it for business purposes or anything legitimate or anything like that. So you can put in your email address and click pawned right over here, and it will tell you if your email has been compromised or not. So when I click there, look what it says. Oh no, I've been pawned. So it tells me that this email has been compromised, that it's been found in several different breaches that they found. And I'm not tech savvy enough to understand these breaches, but right here it actually talks about the different breaches that it's been found in. There was something by a company called Exactus, which is a big marketing firm, that was hacked. And evidently this email of mine was amongst all of those emails that ended up out on the dark web or for sale or whatever. But this tells you all the different things where your email was pawned. But basically what you can do, if you have an email address that's good and you put it in here and you click pawned, it's going to turn green down here and it's going to say no pawnage found, whatever pawnage is. But it'll either be red or green based on if your email has been compromised. Now I'll send you this link too, as well as a link right here that tells you a little bit, it's just a blog, but it tells you a little bit about what you can do when your email has been pawned or has been compromised. And one of the first things you want to do, as we talked about earlier, is go in and change your password. Also make sure that your email settings are up to date. Make sure if you have antivirus on your computer, make sure that it's up to date and got all the current versions of it out there. But it just goes through and lists several things on here. Here's one: make sure your antivirus program and operating system's up to date. Scan your device for malware. If you have McAfee, Norton, Sophos, Kaspersky, anything like that, you can scan your computer and find out if there's malware on your computer, because a lot of times there may be and you don't really even know. You can also, like it says, change your passwords, and this gives you a little bit of information on how to create good passwords, which, by the way, Get Set Up has a very good class on password managers and how to help you manage passwords. You should never use the same password for more than one site, and you should change them continuously. This talks about your email settings and how you can, in the future, keep your email from being pawned or being compromised. So that's kind of a fun little site thing that I'm going to send you to. Okay, any questions on those FTC sites? I will send every one of those to you in the follow-up email that I have. And just a couple more things before we finish up here. Let me go back to right here. So here's kind of a wrap up of the class. The steps to protect yourself from email scams is to learn to recognize the signs of a phish. These are all the things we talked about. It's going to have an unfamiliar tone or greeting, may possibly have grammar and spelling errors in it. It's going to have a sense of urgency, like you need to do this now, or your account's going to be closed or something like that. May have suspicious attachments. If it's the recipient, which is you, if you didn't initiate the conversation, it's probably something fishy. If there claims that there's a problem with your account, yeah, that's a clue right there. Don't ever confirm your personal information, because that's what these phishing emails are going to do. Whenever you click on that link or attachment, it's going to take you somewhere to try to get that information from you. Okay? And if you don't know the companies or emails, don't click on them, just delete them and do away with them. Don't want anything to do with any of them. Okay? Any final questions on that? One last thing, thank you for attending the class today. I appreciate it. Hope you learned a little bit that will help you stay safe. If you're out there and want to come back to another class on this and you've learned something new, come back and teach us. Help us know what it is that we'll take any information we can get on how to keep ourselves safe out there. These are some of the other classes that I teach. You can now go on the site and do a search for the class title name, as well as guides. You can actually put in a guide's name and find out all the classes that they're teaching. And then help share your experiences with on Twitter, Get Set Up. And then this is Liz. She's actually one of our people that works with us, and you can email her and give her any ideas or comments about anything that you'd like. It's just liz@getsetup.io. Again, if you need a recording or would like to have a recording of the class, just email help@getsetup.io and tell them the name of the class and the day you took it, and they'll send you a link where you can sit at home at your leisure and watch the class again and go through all these slides again. Anybody have anything final they want to add, or any final questions? Sure, go ahead.
When you get email from people, like multiple emails, I try not to reply to all, because I always think that people can grab all of, you could send it to somebody and they grab all of your friends or your associates or whoever it is, those email addresses too, unless you have to reply to all. It could just be you need to reply to the one person that sent it to you.
Absolutely. And a lot of times I know people like to forward jokes a lot of times. So they'll send a joke and they'll send it to everybody in their contact list. And you're right. All you're doing is actually putting these email addresses out there for unscrupulous people to just grab those emails, and, criminals could use those, and I'll just start sending these people phishing emails too. But you're absolutely right. That's a good thing to do. Just reply to the one person that you need to reply to. I rarely ever reply all.
Yeah, or copy and paste if it's something good. I try to do that too. Yeah.
Right.
This has been a really good class. Thank you.
Good. Hope you got a lot out of it. Go
I'd
ahead.
like to ask Joyce what it is that she has on her Android phone that gives her some security.
Yeah, she was asking you, Joyce, if you knew what it was, what the program was. You're muted.
Keep muting me. Anyway, I know that, it's on my phone. It's Boost Mobile. Okay. That's what my phone is. And it was just on the phone. I didn't, pay extra for it. I didn't go get an extra device. It just, maybe if you can just try that.
Does it have a name? What's it called?
Oh my goodness. You know what? Hold on.
Joyce, when you find it, put it in the chat for us.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. And you maybe could even call Boost and just say, hey, can you tell me the name of the software that comes on y'all's phones that protects us from phishing stuff?
Okay.
They might even tell you that way. Do you have an
I would
Android too?
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anybody else have anything they want to throw out there?
I want to say thank you so much for this class.
Sure.
I appreciate it. I learned so much.
Good.
Yes,
Well,
thank you.
thank you guys so much. I hope to see you on some of the other classes. Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.